Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 35th episode of the Heresy Accountability Buddies podcast. I'm Jacob, and on this show, I'm joined by
Duncan,
Jack,
John, and Jamie.
And we're glad to have you with us. Yeah, it's like you're not expecting to be here. But we're still glad that we've got you here, Jack, as well as our listeners. We've got a big show coming up today, including, especially of note for those of you attending Adepticon, our Ultimate Con survival guide, that we're really looking forward to be able to talk about some of the tips and tricks we've picked up over the years about how to be a good con attendee, both as far as like being an opponent, being a good player, but also like how to take care of yourself, especially not knowing if some of you are coming across the pond, as it were. Just lots of little notes here and there. But of course, before we get into that, let's start with some hobby progress. It's been a couple weeks since we recorded. Who wants to get us started? John, you're typically the one to kick the festivities off.
Yeah, so everyone came over a couple weeks ago and was nice enough, all the North Texas guys anyway, were nice enough to help me oil wash all of the terrain that I'd gotten base coated, spot colored, decaled, and then sealed. And so we got over the roughly 4 hours everyone was here, we managed to get everything oil washed and then wiped down, so it looks really nice and weathered. So all I've got to do is clear coat it and glue some of the specialty items on there. So like the vendor needs all his shelves stocked like that. And so then I'll be moving forward with that stuff. Since then, I've managed to get a lot of the other terrain that I didn't get done with those guys up to ready to oil wash. So all the building bases and the cranes and some other stuff I've been working on over the week. And then finally, while we're recording tonight, I'll probably be in and off of mute because I've decided that, the terrain's nice and all, but I think it needs just a little bit more scatter terrain. So I pulled out all of my wife's least favorite word is terrain. So whenever I see a cool shape or some broken toy or something like that on the pawn shop or something like that, I pick it up and throw it into a big box labeled terrain. And so I've gone through and kind of organized some of that stuff and pulled out a whole bunch of bases I bought off of eBay, and I'm going to start basing up some scatter terrain, some broken buildings here, some rock rubble over there, just some stuff that'll go nicely with the desert theme that I've got for these 4 new tables. So that's kind of my hope to get done tonight. Going back, I really want to show appreciation. We kind of lost our episode last week where we went through it, but I really appreciate Lucas and John and Will and everybody else for coming over a couple weeks ago to help with the oil washing. I did a couple smash burgers for everybody and did some sweet potato chips and potato fries, custom cut, and made homemade everything. And then we had all those to eat first, and then had a few beers, and then just kind of stayed out. It was perfect weather for it. It was 70 degrees and sunny. Everyone got a little bit burned, but to keep in mind for next time. But even with odorless mineral spirits, being outside really helped a lot. With sure no one got overly high or passed out or anything wrong. But
pop-up tent.
There was no anyone falling asleep under a table or anything like that we usually have to worry about at conventions. It was a fun time, and I really appreciate everyone coming. I look forward to doing more stuff like that. I've said before, and obviously we all have shelves in some instances, but it's good to get together and do stuff like that as a hobby. We come together obviously to play games, but to come together other times. And some of the guys hadn't done oil washes before, and they just got an understanding of how oil washes work and how you can go through and apply a little more oil if it's needed, or I went too far, now I need to apply some mineral spirits and to back off for this area. And then once that was kind of tacky, going back through with I had every available wiping method out there. I had makeup sponges, I had Q-tips, I had top of the line Viva paper towels, which is my favorite. I had extra old t-shirts that I'd cut up into swatches. Everything was ready to go. They kind of got to experiment and see what was good for whatever they wanted to how they wanted to work. It was a blast, and I really appreciate everyone coming for that.
I saw the fabricator general in the background of one of the picture. It warmed my heart.
Yeah, John Stanford came out. He's sadly not going to make it to Adepticon. It was good to have him help out. So that we, obviously Lucas and I are working really closely with, because he took over Phyrix, that we're trying to get everything rolling here and other places that we can help support terrain. And it's going to be, it's a good basis for trying to get everything. But that's my goals past, and now obviously I'm going to be working through the scatter terrain while we're talking tonight.
Before we move too far off of your point, it bears repeating to me. Please use proper PPE when using some of the hobby stuff that we use. Not just oil paints, but like you're using an airbrush. Please take care of yourself. As for your body parts, like generally speaking, you've only got one of them, or one set of them, and they unfortunately have to last you your whole life. If you are independently wealthy and you are invested in the cyberpunk bionics futures, go ahead and ignore that label. But for the rest of us who live in today's world, please take care of yourself. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
don't
I'm
burn
kind
off
of,
your fingers.
MSD safety sheets are a real thing, and don't slide them.
John, you were trying to say something, and we got a couple
yeah,
over the top
I
of you.
was about to say I'm kind of broken from all the bent over table time, but yeah, definitely make sure to take care of yourself. We were extra careful. I made sure everyone had an extra, because of the larger gentlemen in the group, and so I made sure everyone had an extra painting shirt that they could wear to make sure that they didn't damage any of their clothing. Because obviously every time you think that this is going to be a quick fix, you glue something together that's not supposed to happen. But yeah, be sure to take care. I mean, I found a couple new cuts as we were oil washing and things like that. And if you're allergic to something, obviously the worst way to find out is while you're immersed in it. I dumped the oil on my arm a couple times, but I've had oil go in places that it shouldn't go, and mineral spirits follow it. So I can tell you that it's definitely uncomfortable when it finds places that shouldn't be covered by oil and mineral. That's all kind of all I'll say there, and we all wish Josh a speedy recovery as he decided to douse himself in the chemicals this.
Yes, please, Josh, get better soon. You're a brother to many of us, and we all enjoy your presence with fingers.
Yeah, and we all enjoy his hugs, and they won't be the same if.
Yes.
Very much.
With that, I will toss it on to.
Oh, yes. What have I done? Well, let's see here. I have 10 jump reavers who are now complete. All paint complete, all decals complete. Their basing is complete. They're currently sitting here with the final satin wash over them, sealing happily. The chieftains are done. The chaplain is done. The banner is done. The master of signal is complete. An apothecary is complete. That dreadnought is complete.
Dude, you're putting me to shame. Please stop.
That dreadnought is complete. That dreadnought is complete. I've got to do the gun arms for said dreadnoughts, or 2 of the 3 dreadnoughts. One of them I glued already and glued it on, whereas the other 2 are magnetized because they're my older hulls or my older bodies, and I'm reusing them. So I'm going to be magnetizing their guns. I've got 2 heralds currently under production for Lucas. They're base washed, or they're base coated, zenithal, and they've got all their greens and the purple down. So I guess they're based, and they've got the blacks, the first shade of blacks on all of them, on both of them. Beyond that, I don't think I have anything that I'm pressingly working on that I am needing to get done, or that I have not already mentioned. I've got a Praetor who's about somewhere between 75 and 80% done. I'm hoping to have him complete for Adepticon. If I don't, it's no big deal. I have like 4 other Praetors. This is just a different one. So we'll see how he does. Jack, what have you done, sir?
Let me try to remember. I repainted a Fire Raptor for my Ultramarine. Redid that base. I started and finished a 10-man las cannon team. Started and finished 2 Tech Marines. Started and finished 3 new HQ choices. Started and finished an Apothecary. And then today I have been pouring resin all day to redo my bases. So I poured resin basing for, I'm going to guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 100 and easy money, 130 bases today, because I hate myself. Currently I am trying to figure out if there's anything else I want to do for Adepticon. Because at this point, it's not a matter of having to get stuff done. It's a matter of if I want to take anything extra or just working on the backlog. And currently in my hands, since we're podcasting right now, I am putting together a was it Cronus Grav Tank, whatever the troop transport for Custodes is. So
That was,
yeah.
Sorry, that face that Duncan just made was hilarious.
Well, he can suck a lemon.
That's kind of what I felt just happened when I heard you say the word Custodes.
Look, you knew from book 8 before book 8 dropped, I wanted to do Custodes because I thought they looked cool. Book 8 dropped, I couldn't do Custodes. At this point, I'm trying to find a funner and gentler way of running Custodes, but that all starts with getting some type of army on the table so I can find what's gentler and funner to play with.
Speaking as your semi-regular opponent, sir, you realize that this is an escalation.
How is this an escalation?
Because you have Custodes, so I'm going to have to get something different.
I think you're doing it right, Jack. I think that Custodes, the transports are honestly so expensive and take away from the fact that they're so fast on foot that they're almost like a hindrance taking them. So I that's the lists I've been making are like 4 or 5 of those transports just to soak up so many points.
Yeah.
Like kind of balance them out. Like yeah, I get it. It's kind of like what Nick kind of does with his Fury of the Ancients list that he he's tried to balance it out so that it's actually not like just ridiculously overpowered.
Guys, stop encouraging him.
Oh, okay.
Also, another thing to put on the list of stuff that has been done. Me and Duncan got in a game last week.
Yes, we did. We had Ultramarines versus Sons of Horus, and it went wonderfully. It was fun. The Ultramarines and Fulmentaris decided that they did not like my Marines and decided to eradicate them from the table, and it was beautiful.
If you could have made an armor penetration roll at any point during that game.
Nope. See, I don't blame the dice rolls. I don't blame the dice rolls. Yes, I do. I utterly blame those dice rolls because, I mean, when every single thing I fired all was in range in turn 1, and I got a glancing hit out of all my shooting, I just don't know what else to say.
On a saber, a glancing hit on a saber.
Yeah, and I'm firing last cannons, multi-meltas. I mean, the kitchen sink.
So Jamie, what have you been up to, brother?
We've been dealing with a Nurgle infestation that just won't leave. So I have kids in daycare, as everybody knows, and they just I can't get all 3 of them healthy at the same time. So in between all that, I have a squad of 10 because of how detailed they are. I have finished a grand total of 2 Inner Circle Deathwing, Knight Cenobellum or Cenobellum or whatever you call them.
Knight Cenobium.
The swords and capes are all finished. The other ones I'm in the process of layering, doing all the layers on them. So at this point they're actually going a little bit quicker than they have been. It's just the amount of different colors of paint that I'm using right now is kind of a little crazy. I kind of went overkill on them, and I probably shouldn't have, but they'll look really good when I've also been printing a lot of disruptor rifles and pistols because a lot of people ask for them. I know several people that are on the show right now ask for them, and I will have them at Adepticon for you, John.
Yay!
I can't remember. Did somebody else? No, not
me.
Okay.
I spent all my points on close combat weapons, sir, not pistols.
I had asked for a pair of OG Halo Magnums for a Cade's next, but I don't got together on that.
No, I haven't really looked, but I found full size ones, like 1-to-1 scale ones that I could probably.
Well, I don't understand. What's the problem there?
What's the problem? Will go great in your Warhound Titan.
Absolutely.
Or your Emperor Titan. Yeah. No, I can maybe start experimenting with reduced for
focus on your biggest challenges before Adepticon, man. I have no idea what the nature of that Raven Guard project would even look like for me.
Does that gun need an upgrade? I mean, if you make it Titan size, it would kill planet.
Yeah. Let's see some behind the scenes, Toys for Tots planning going on. Potentially may have a announcement coming up that's pretty cool. I will know for sure after Adepticon about it. And there was something else. That was pretty much it. I've been buying a lot of paint. How about that? Restocking and using colors.
That's important.
Yeah,
that's
very
of vital
exciting.
importance.
Well, it's been hard because like normally I use GW paints just because that's the easiest thing for me to get here in town because a lot of the friendly local game stores carry it and GW carry them, and the problem I'm having is nobody's getting restocked at all. We're talking like multiple months in a row where nobody's getting restocked with just like Chaos Black or Abaddon Black paint. So I'm having to diversify my paint collection.
So have you,
in general, getting stuff like they can't seem to restock like basic Cadian Infantry and things like that are not even new releases, just older stuff.
Yep.
And in general seems a crapshoot.
Sorry, Duncan, what were you saying?
I'll say what paints? How are you choosing to diversify into, sir?
What I can find. So, like, one of the closest local friendly local game shop here, they actually carry Army Painter, GW, and Scale 75. So I've been trying to get Scale 75s because I've liked them so far. But the problem is the same thing is they're having trouble restocking. So I'm kind of starting to think it might be like a pigment issue. Like they probably all buy pigment from overseas and they're not getting it delivered.
I couldn't speak to it. I don't know. All I know is that I have not had any trouble whatsoever finding the Pro-Acryl, which I'm really happy with.
Yeah, I've some Vallejo I used to, not a lot, but I may start looking into that too if I can get it. I hate
saying that word. Hate saying Vallejo, but geez, some of their paints are just quality.
Yeah, some of their metallic airbrush stuff is crazy. But the problem is, I just have to order. I'm kind of a weird. I don't like ordering paint. I like seeing it to make sure that I'm getting the right stuff and that it's not like separated or anything like that. Hadn't been sitting super long.
That's why I'm glad that my friendly local, shout out to the Rusty Scabbard in Lexington, Kentucky, carries the Pro-Acryl and Scale 75 and the Army Painter stuff as well.
Yeah,
as well as GW.
It looked like nobody's buying the Army Painter stuff from what I've seen. So, like, if I really need a color, I can get it that way. But their
new tricolor stuff is pretty good, where they like it shows off airbrushing on the box.
Okay.
That stuff I've been using it for. I'd run out of the Ultramarines blue that I used for airbrushing my base layer, and I went out and got their color like blending tree. They kind of show on the packet and everything. I found it was actually pretty good. It's not like amazing to write home about, but it's serviceable paint.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
And
Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, it's cheaper too.
And a shaker in it.
Oh yeah, like a shaker ball. Yeah, okay, gotcha. And that's it, I guess.
Well, Jake, have you done any hobby stuff, or have you done all house stuff?
It's been basically all house stuff. And I forget if I kind of said it on the show. I'm stepping back a little bit from Heresy anyway. But between working on the house, trying to move rooms and prep rooms for more work for the fiance moving in addition to working up a new PC, trying to catch up on getting all the episodes edited up and posted, as well as the new Destiny X-Pack. So there's been plenty of opportunities to eat some of my hobby time. And there's been a little work here and there on some BattleTech hobby stuff. But
I saw, speaking of BattleTech, I saw some stuff drop today.
It's pretty cool.
Northwind Highlanders set is out now. Yeah.
So we just got a drop of a couple different Merc Lances, Eridani Light Horse,
Branson Raiders.
The Rough Riders.
Rough Riders.
Northwind Highlanders, Kellhounds, Eridani Light Horse, if I didn't say them already. We know Grey Death Legion are in the pipe. We just don't know if, when, where, or how those are going to show up. I think original were supposed to be Opal exclusive, and so I don't know if because the original Kellhounds box was supposed to be a Catalyst store exclusive. I don't know if that means Grey Death to the Catalyst store, or if that's still on track for Barnes and Noble once their exclusivity ends on the Light Horse. And of course, the new Kickstarter is going to be launching during Adepticon, and I've got a couple who've actually sculpted stuff that they end up in that Kickstarter, I think. And so they will show me a couple and even if they haven't sculpted it, I know at least one guy does painting for Camo Specs Online, so he's had a couple early sculpts that he's been painting for promo shots and stuff, and he's just giddy about it, so excited.
So some of the new sculpts had they actually have like the mechs jumping like with a giant rocket blast underneath them and everything, right?
Yeah, so the Highlander actually comes with both, from the Northwind Highlanders box, actually comes with both the jump smoke effect as well as an urban mech, so that you can have it giving a proper Highlander burial if you choose.
Maybe this will motivate me to paint everything in the first Kickstarter.
I was going to say, speaking of Kickstarters and Adepticon, did y'all see Adepticon launched?
No,
I did not. What's going on there?
It's this paint cup. They basically it looks like they bought a rotating paint cleaning cup off of AliExpress, made the top of it a removable silicone mat, and that's it. It's supposed to help you clean your brush more often, but I mean, the thing already exists online. I found it on AliExpress for $15 a few months ago, and now they're starting to make their own. It's kind of like how Green Stuff World retitles everything and then puts their own label on it.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, okay.
maybe the proceeds of the Kickstarter are actually going to fund a better web host for Badge Day instead of
the event.
Yep.
On the subject of poorly planned and executed product launches, we've got some Games Workshop launches, previews, and more to talk about. Does somebody want to kick us off with any of those? I think we've got 2 weeks now to be able to talk about both last week's and this week's.
Would that be tanks?
No, well,
that's weird. They said we had plastic infantry, and we said we had it ready, but we already broke the promise that no more resin was coming because we moved the Legion Contemptors into a torso-only upgrade for the plastic kit. Well, okay, that was Legion specific. But then we got a 5 bolt pistol, 5 chainsword, 1 heavy chainsword, 1 power axe, resin upgrade kit.
But I thought we were never going to get another resin upgrade kit unless it...
Yeah. It's pretty shameful.
Scandalous.
In the meantime, what have we gotten besides those? We got the Sikaran Venator, and we just now got the Vindicator this week. And I hear some people starting early speculations that next week's Thursday preview is possibly going to be the Derrida Plastic, which really, I don't know how I feel about that one way or the other, outside of the fact that the Automantic Pavaz, thankfully, has been written out of the rules, so I guess we can get that as a plastic kit, and just never have to worry about the fact that that bit has now not been seen since 2016.
I like that upgrade.
Gone but not forgotten.
No, very forgotten. Games Workshop would prefer that you forgot about it.
I love that upgrade for Fulmentaris. It's just sad that it just poofed out of existence, much like the autocannons on Fulmentaris.
Yeah, just ceased to exist. And this brings to light something, and we've talked about, at least tangentially or in veiled terms, the fact that absolutely there are people out there who are offering, let's call it competitive product. Whether you want to look at your likes of Cromlech, or of the much maligned of late, Pop Goes the Monkey. I've heard some scuttlebutt that they've fixed their scaling issues, but I'm not going to endorse them at this time without seeing it in my hand myself. But as Games Workshop more publicly moves to disavow third-party bits and conversions and says Games Workshop and Forge World product only, at least in our stores, is the nature of the beast. And as we see them kind of fail to deliver on what they've promised us as consumers, I'm really drawn to highlighting something that I think Gabe Newell famously said of Steam and of Valve, and he said piracy is not a product quality problem. It is not a consumer means problem necessarily. It is a consumer accessibility. And if anybody has been following these sorts of piracy at a global scale of especially digital goods, whether that's music, movies, or otherwise, has been on a downward trend, or at least was in the run up to 2020, and I would say there's a chance that even if you say that kind of rounded off in 2020, 2022, people are starting to see that spike again, because as the cost of these streaming subscriptions has gone up, where before you could find everything on Netflix and it was $5 to $10 a month, now Netflix wants $20 a month, and they have a smaller catalog proportionally than what they had. Games Workshop is really running into, from my opinion or from my perspective, the same problem here. Other people are either making better product, cheaper product, or both, and they're delivering it on a more timely scale or more timely trajectory than what Games Workshop is currently capable of, and it's kind of suffocating at least my interest in Heresy part and partial. Obviously, I've got some other issues that have come up with the rules of late, but the fact that like no new releases are coming along to even like get juices flowing, the fact that even if we thought we could commit to a release date for Militia or Demons, that we failed so utterly to get books in hand for both Mechanicum as well as Liber Imperialis, and the fact that they're like, we swear Plastic Infantry is coming, and hear the persistent sound of crickets for all of the Plastic Infantry that they swear is coming since that release or announcement. I'm kind of just at a total loss with how the brand and the product has been run. Even if you want to say that the first 6 months were a rousing success, the last 3 to 6 months have been anything but. Since the calendar clicked over into 2023, there's been nothing to show for it to speak of. Arguably, you could say the jet bikes, but seemingly a lot of people are having trouble getting those in hand right now.
You just can't get them. Like, even if you wanted stuff that had the limited stuff that has been released into the public, you just can't get it.
Yeah, and we talked about when we did our Heresy on a budget build, where we were bringing in other third-party vendors just because GW doesn't sell it. Like, look at the apothecary upgrades where we needed just a couple of them, or in this instance specifically, when you're looking at the close combat weapons. I mean, Cromlech is one I used. Pop Goes the Monkey and others were some of the other ones people use. Like, there's no reason. And
Inversion World, I mean, it was another one
for these things are packaged too. You get 5 close combat weapons and 5 bolt pistols, and that's it. What happens if I have a 20-man squad? I gotta buy 4 of these things, and then I've got 4 extra axes I don't need, and 4 heavy chain blades. Well, what if I want to arm a command squad with heavy chain blades? The only way I can get them now is to buy this stupid box, because they're not available anywhere else. Heavy chain blades is like the number one, never seen a bit ever. I think it was in one assault squad box. It was in
a upgrade for one of the marks too.
Yeah. Like, that was it. That was the only 2 releases we got. And now you're like, oh, well, okay, we'll just throw this one in there. It just happens freebie in there. It's cute, but it's like, just let me buy the stuff that I can.
And I'm even going to push on your point there, John. I recall, it's now been 7 or 8 years ago, probably, that Gabriel Angelos came out, the Dawn of War chapter master, or captain come chapter master, and I was super excited at the thought of picking that model up in person at the booth that Forge World had at Gen Con, just to have it, because that was my 40k army. That was the army that started me down this whole Games Workshop path. That's how I got into Thousand Sons. Whole shebang was Blood Ravens. And I went and I got up to the front of the line and I said, what's your price on them? Because you guys say you have them, but you're not posting any price on them. And they said $60. And I went, $60 for one Terminator model that, admittedly, in Angelos's case, unfortunately looks like Herman Munster. $60 for that. Yep. So fast forward to the present day, and even though I think the Exodus model is very, very nice, the fact that we have moved the needle to the point where a power armor model is now going for, to my knowledge, $70 US.
54.
Oh, it's only 54? Okay, that might have been Australian dollar dues that I saw somebody post.
Yeah, I checked on it. I looked on when they released it. Exodus was 54 and the Esoterist was 43.
Yeah, so it's still the case, though, where
ridiculous.
where Exodus seemingly puts less material in the kit than Gabriel Angelos did. And even if you say he's a nicer model and Gabriel Angelos had his problems, there is less material in there. And you're telling me now that what I already thought was absurd is now even worse.
But he's turning up to 11. No one gets it. Like,
you know, that's totally correct. Yeah, his gun goes to 11.
Yeah, and so does his price.
I mean, how much more dead are the enemy characters going to be? None more dead.
If you combine purchasing the two models, you are looking at spending $100 plus, counting shipping and tax. I mean, wow. I remember when I remember getting Land Raiders for less than that. I remember getting a despoiler for less than that.
Yeah, I absolutely recall when you could get a Land Raider for $50, and I understood that those days had to go away at some point. But it's very frustrating to not necessarily see a perceptible rise in quality. Though you know, a lot of people would say that, oh well, clearly newer kits are nicer. That's negotiable, and I am willing to I'd be willing to hear that out. But it's tracking to me worse than even what I feel like inflation is tracking them. And then to marry that off to a inability to deliver on customer promises and an inability to get product into people's hands in a timely fashion. How long an average turnaround is it? Because we've just now got the Alpha Legion upgrade kits available as well. What was the turnaround window when those got previewed and when those actually showed up on shelves?
Was it around Christmas when they were previewed?
I think it may have, yeah, I think that was part of our Christmas preview, give or take, because we got the Demonic Assassin, we got the Esoterist, and we got Exodus all teasered in that. And here we are.
Well, that was the New Year's.
Yeah.
New Year's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we are, 3 months later, even if you say that, oh, well, they gave us the silhouette and then it was a month later. It's 2 months later. You are completely failing to follow a product cycle all the way through. Especially when your teasers... Yeah.
I just Googled it. The heads were previewed. The heads and shoulder pads for Alpha Legion, which are also dropping, were previewed on January 5th.
Yeah. So
I mean, I know we're going back to like, oh, you know, GW back in the day used to preview. I think the funniest one was like the Crute Shaper was like 6 months in advance, something like that. We don't need 6 months in advance, but at the same time, like, and I'm going to steal one of our curses. Like, it seems like an absolute lack of giving. It seems like we get these articles like, oh, here's a head, okay, and then it's coming. I remember back in the day when these head releases would come out, you'd get conversions for like, okay, these heads are coming out, but here's some other cool ways to make your guys look Alpha Legion, and then you can spice these heads in there. Or there'd be like conversions using the Corsairs out of Fantasy because they had the scale cloaks, and you could do these little things. Like they would add little extras into the articles to get you pumped. Whereas now it's as cookie cutter a release document as it can.
And when they do the releases, it's absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah,
the copy that they put in with them, they can't even get the rules right, like blatantly wrong. Like they're just like, here, type something up that sounds cool using these big words, and yeah, it's come back to bite them several times already. I mean, like another example, not to try and harp on it, but like when the new Heresy 2.0 released, they also released the new Rhino plastic kit that was out of stock for like the better part of 4 months. Like they had a splash release of it, and then you couldn't get it for 4 months. A Rhino, like one of the most basic things that you almost have to have, you know?
Yep. I mean, I'm not certain if this is them or if this is just international trade causing it, but right now getting anything is terrible.
If it's international trade, then slow up your roll.
Yeah.
Then you double down on other releases, or you double down on digital releases. Slow your roll so that you can get enough physical to make the money.
Or here's a
even telling people
Yeah.
Or here's a shocking idea. They have the warehouse in Memphis where they actually, for a time, did make plastic GW kits, and they decided to move everything back to the UK.
Well, they got a big tax break for that. That's why they did.
Well, they're losing out on money right now because they can't get product to the shelves. So
Are they though? Are they losing out on money? Because they just put it out whenever they do.
Well, they just raise the prices. They just double the prices.
I know they're losing out on money from me. I haven't spent a dime with them since the Heresy box set released.
My wife went to, she was driving around for her work, and she happened to stop by the cafe, and she said, "Hey, do you need anything?" And I sent her a list of a dozen items that had come out that I needed. Jet bikes and the bases and some other stuff that had come out. It was all released over the last 2 months. None of it was in. Not a single one of them was in. And so what she ended up doing was she walked around and she found some of the store exclusive. It was a zipper bag she got me. Neat. But either way, my point is, a dozen? Seriously? And some of those were paints. Like, those are not new releases. Not all of them are new or limited editions. Some of those are normal. You should be stocking this to supplement your releases type thing. There's no logic to most of this stuff being gone this long or missing. And one of my local game stores used to have stock shelves all the time, and now it's like his basic response is when something comes out is, you're better off ordering it yourself and then try to contact. Because Soul Shackle and all these other Kill Team boxes, stores get one or two and then it's gone forever.
Yeah, that's what happened with me.
I have had.
I get that those are like discounts, and that's why they're limited in that instance. But at the same time, like, do you want more people to buy these things?
I have had 3 friendly local all fail to consistently carry Games Workshop because they are able to hold with it for about a year. The stockist minimums changes, and about that same time, whether they keep it up or not, they have even more difficulty getting new releases, and so they just throw their hands up and they're like, "Man, feel free to play in my store, and I'll carry paints, but otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? I can't hardly make any money on it in the first place because Games Workshop sticks me harder than any other vendor who I try to work with, and even if they didn't, I can't get product in. I'm genuinely better off telling customers, go online and order your stuff on release day. Play it here in the store, but I can't sell it to you."
Well, they can't get new releases like the Necromunda cards. Those were unavailable completely to game stores in the beginning because they had the little mail order exclusive target on them for a long time, and now they've switched to stores can carry them, but they're just so limited per store. Like, if you have a thriving Necromunda community and 2 people are playing a gang, good luck. It's not that hard to imagine 2 people playing the same gang. And then you look at Heresy releases. We're not even getting some models. We harped this a little bit last episode, but some people still don't have Praetors, some people still don't have Leviathans, some people Dreadnoughts, and these Dreadnoughts that are coming out next week, kind of rolling into next week's preview. It's not all the Dreadnoughts either.
It's and the funny thing is, they're literally the same torsos of the full Legion specific ones. They basically are literally just taking the torso out and sticking it in a blister. No arms, no legs. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
probably
we've done a lot of venting, and I don't think that's unreasonable to do, but I want to kind of dredge John's point back up here. If I'm right, our pitch to actually be constructive and to put a solution out there is to slow down, focus on some digital releases until you can actually get the pipeline together, and to focus your pipeline on what you promised us in terms of plastic. Does that sound right?
well, I mean, like,
Honestly, if they just came out with the Demon and Militia PDFs, and I hate to keep harping on these, but they're easy. They're easy releasing. You've got to have them already done or near done. Even if they're a stopgap until you say, "Hey, look, here's the first draft rules we came up with while we were playtesting before we come out with the real printed rules in the Chaos Ally book." And then that book drops 2 months down the line. So many people would be happy just to play with the stuff that they already have, and people would start buying armies into those lists. Okay, if they change a little bit between now and official release or whatever you want to call it, sure, there's going to be some butthurt, but there's already butthurt right now because I can't use them. And there's butthurt because there's changes. I mean, Jacob, you and I are running into the fact that some of our lists went from being fun to either A, illegal, or B, completely unplayable.
No, same way. I'm in the same boat with Jacob and you. Like jet bikes, and then my Night Lords was a Terror Squad all in Anvilus drop pod.
Yep.
So, yep. Yay! That's a lot of money I spent.
So, can I go ahead?
I still miss my Shattered Legions.
And I want to put something here
one.
just to put like a bookmark in place. So it's wild. They haven't even talked about Shattered Legions. Like it's almost as if they're just like, nope. Or I'm sorry, not Shattered Legions, Black Shields.
They don't exist.
That doesn't exist anymore. That's fine.
DL,
we don't
baby.
have to talk about that.
Redacted DL.
But I'm gonna mark it here so that we have it on record. I'm betting that we will be having another frustrated conversation at Games Workshop's expense if we don't see an FAQ in the month following Adepticon.
I have a question. So, Jacob, are you going? You're not going to the Adepticon, right?
No, I'm not.
But the four of us that are currently on all are. Is anybody going to the GW preview? No.
I think I had a ticket, but either way, they allow you in if you don't have a ticket.
Okay.
So I don't mind watching it.
I'm not going to sit there for 40 minutes to listen to 10 minutes worth of stuff where they're telling me I'm getting a plastic, I don't know, plastic some tank. Fill in the tank.
A whirlwind.
It's the Sarkarian. No, we already got the whirlwind. It'll be the Sarkarian. It'll be the Arquois.
No, the Venator. The
Venator or Arquois.
Coming, but it's not technically out. Because it's so hard to determine what's coming next for tanks. It's almost like they have swappable turrets.
Ooh. The next thing they'll put out will be a Predator turret. Not even a whole Predator, just a different turret.
But you have to buy it with a whole nother.
Do we
Predator
actually
mod.
have all the Contemptor guns?
If Conversion Beamer was out in one of the sets. Heavy Bolter, Plaz, Melta, Close Combat Arms, Plasma, Volkite. They come standard with the missile rack on them.
Yep.
I think they all are out.
Well, never mind. Not that then.
Do we have all the Rhino chassis out?
No, I'm sure there's something that we're missing. We just got
Do we have the laser Rhino?
We do not have the Command Rhino, but I think everything else on the Rhino chassis. We are still missing plastic javelins and plastic saber, and moving the Anvilus and Charybdis to plastic, but we already kind of talked. Don't expect the Charybdis in plastic.
We technically don't have the Dorito, but that was seen in video this week. Apparently.
Yeah, that's some of the float we're talking.
Rhino chassis. I think the only thing we don't have is unless there's some oddball Predator that we don't have a gun for.
We didn't get the assault cannon Predator in the Predators.
Oh, that's a good point for Blood Angels and Imperial Fists. That's still just a buy the 40k plastic or convert it yourself.
Yeah.
Russ, we don't have any of the special Russes, so if they want to start bringing in
IG tanks, that they can't stock anyway. So. The super heavies, they're all out of stock, they're out of production at the super heavy tank. So I'm guessing that's probably going to be the next tank.
Maybe we're going to get the Fellblade at Adepticon.
Maybe Fellblade, and the other one.
Yeah,
we did get the Spartan with the big cannon on it.
Well, we got the Typhon, not the Cerebus.
Cerebus. We're still missing the Cerebus.
Yeah,
and that's an easy done for them.
Yeah, it's been previewed.
Yeah, it's just not out yet. It's been previewed. They just haven't put it out. I still swear I think it's going to be the Dorito.
I think that's you're probably going to be right.
And I think the only real Heresy stuff they're going to show us, they'll preview the Demons book. They might show us 1, maybe 2 kits at most. And I think they will probably show us a batch of Mark II something.
Assault jump pack.
I don't know if they'll be assaulters, but I'd love to see it.
I would have, and I put it on the show earlier. I expected Mark VI Assault Marines, but why release that if you're going to put chainswords and bolt pistols in a Resonate kit? I really just I can't even expect them to release infantry at this point, because why bother?
Yeah, that kit specifically. This is kind of, we lost it last episode, but it's not even a half measure. It's a slap in the face. coming out with that five bolt pistols, because it says to me right off the bat, we don't plan on releasing assault marine or despoilers or destroyers or combat vets.
Yep.
Anytime soon.
Bolt pistol, close combat weapons. We don't plan on releasing any of that for the next 2 years. That's exactly what that says.
Destroyers I could see, because they would have to have left-handed bolt pistols, yeah, and there's none of those in the despoiler kit. Isn't it 5 right pistols, 5 left chainswords, or is it mix of both?
It is, but at the same time, I don't see them coming out with the necessary...
you're not wrong.
It's a total slap in the face, and I hate to say it that way, but that's from a design point of view. Why bother coming out with that kit unless it's not a stopgap, but it actually is the resolution?
Yeah. So kind of leads me into wondering, like, when they say plastic infantry is coming, do they mean Solar Aux? Which, like, if they do, very happy for Solar Aux players, because, like, congratulations, Solar Aux might actually be monetarily feasible to play, but...
I mean, they technically have that with the boarding party that just came out for Kill Team. Those look almost exactly like...
Yeah. Well, and then you also had the both of them. But, no, what about, like, a demon infantry?
You mean the entire demon, right?
I already know that.
So I think we have to get a Demon's Army book to get a concrete understanding of what they want that army's identity to be before we can talk about a plastic kit, because otherwise they're gonna just keep beating the drum of just buy the existing demon models, especially because that gives us an excuse to recut them more and more frequently, because then they will be in use in 3 systems, 4 if we ever see the old one.
Yep.
I mean, you're not wrong. My guess right now is we might see them put out the demon book or preview the demon book and maybe preview a model for said book, but that's realistically about it.
Maybe some HQ or something.
That, or actually an HQ would be nice, or maybe re-preview the old demonic brutes that they showed us.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't those actually come out?
Yeah, but maybe they can do them like again in plastic.
Is the band out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe they'll re-release Samus.
Have we beat the horse dead enough to move on to our real intended topic?
Sure.
I think we have.
We're beating it enough. We'll come back again. It seems to be. I mean, I hate.
It's a regular enough talking point.
At this point, yeah.
Harping on it every time, but yeah, it's such a glaring weakness of Heresy that I had a friend reach out to me this week. It's a good friend from my past who fell on the wrong side of tracks and all that other, every other cliche story basically happened to this guy, and he reached out to me. We used to game back in middle school, and he's like, hey, I want to get back into miniatures. The Adepticon thing you keep talking about and posting on Facebook looks really cool. I was like, yeah, what do you think about playing? He's like, oh, back then I liked Guard and stuff. And I'm like, okay, sorry. I'll talk to you again when Militia Book comes out or something like that, but you can't build Solar Aux out of Guard stuff.
No, you really can't.
And you can't use your old miniatures to play Militia the way you could before. Like, there's so much missing from Heresy that was around in 1.0. 1.0 had its problems. That it was getting a little bloated, but the thing that it had going for it was you could pretty much play whatever the entire Heresy was fleshed out, and so could it have been more fleshed out for certain things? Yeah, sure. And that's what a lot of the fan stuff came out. But at the same time, GW had so much support for it that they just kind of dropped by the wayside when I'm done.
Yeah. So
I mean, you're not wrong.
Now is a good time to cut into our ultimate survival guide. So we're kind of just freestyling this for lack of a better descriptor. Let's probably start with things to do ahead of time. Things to do before you get there. Do we want to obviously get your tickets, book your room, figure out how you're getting there.
Buy soap.
I've been to about 7 or 8 Adepticons at this point. I realize in advance this is going to sound very first world problems, but it's something to think about. The Chicago water does horrible things to my insides, and I can't if it's not coming from those from the pitchers. So they actually have water machines at the outside of every room, but there is no actual different types of water in your room. It's only coming from the tap, and the tap is aerated, and it's got some other weird stuff in it. So every year I keep telling myself I need to bring some bottled water from Texas, and this year I'm doing it. So one thing I would honestly say is, this is kind of good for any convention. Plan how you're going to eat, drink, and do all that other stuff. And don't just say, I'm going to buy food there. You can do that, but you've got to make sure you bank a hell of a lot of time for that during each event.
Oh my gosh, you save so
Pod
much
food.
time
food
and
is-
money by not breaking in between games. Bring snack bars. I'm not kidding.
Beef jerky.
Consider that you will typically be on your feet for 12 hours. Is it immediately as physically exerting as taking a hike? No.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it depends on certain parts of your body. It can
Sure.
be.
But you should probably, anything that you would take for a long-term hike, you should consider part of your con kit. We're talking snacks that are going to be relatively healthy, that are going to be like high energy, sustain you type snacks, and any number of different drinks. If you are somebody who, like, you can't drink tap water because you just hate the taste, bring something to mix into tap water or bottled water.
I'm going to go into a topic
Gatorade.
that kind of comes off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
Gatorade's are
certain
good.
that you have comfortable footwear.
Broken
And I don't-
in.
I
Don't go and buy stuff like right before the con. Like, make sure if you're going for style versus comfort, go for like the dog poo comforting super soft shoes that you've had for like 2 years instead of going and getting a pair of shoes just for the con. Because
I also recommend, if you've got a bad back, like I do, bring your own chair. Because either A, they're going to run out of chairs, or B, they're going to be uncomfortable hotel chairs. So I'm going to bring my own folding chair.
Yep.
And I always bring it to other events too.
I'm going to follow on John's point. If you know that probably, like John or myself, you are prone to aches and pains because you have a sedentary job, or you have just been dealt that particular hand of genetics, if you know that standing for long periods will cause you to be sore and achy, whatever your favorite remedy is, for me, I have found that like naproxen sodium is jam. That works 10 times out of 10. You would better believe I'm going to have that in every single con bag that I pack. And I'm probably pre-gaming with it the morning before I play my first game. I'm probably starting my dose now so that when I end the first day of tournaments or the first day of games, I'm not preemptively dead and struggling to catch back up to a healthy level.
And a topical ointment like a Tiger Balm or a BioFreeze, something that rolls on so that you can kind of throw in there. The other thing I recommend is, if you know that you have allergy problems, Claritin or Allegra. I always also bring eye drops too, because for some reason
cough drops.
Yeah,
cough drops.
Cough drops.
On vitamin C, I have a usual collection of vitamins I take every morning, but I throw in an extra vitamin C if I'm going to, and I've never got con crud since I started doing it.
I am very fortunate that I have only had con crud once that I would point to, technically twice with Gen Con this year. But the 1 year I went to Adepticon, which was 2017, I came back with the worst case of con crud. But that's probably because I didn't take good care of myself throughout.
Yep.
Those rooms are like the hotel rooms that you stay in. They get just also same thing with like being out in the convention. The air is cycled a lot, but it's very dry, like not humid. So a lot of times people will end up getting like nosebleeds and stuff because the lack of humidity. And same thing, like the con crud and con cough or whatever you want to call it.
Like lotion and anything else that you can plan on. If you're going to have Chicago's not that bad about it. There are some areas at the con that are kind of outside windows, but if you think you're going to have that, I would also recommend some sunscreen. We all have monitor tans, and if you're going to end up standing by the window a lot, you may end up burning a bit.
Also, with the time of year with Adepticon, you really can't plan on weather, because like I mean I've been there when it's happened. Like I literally went to a baseball game the day before and it was 80 degrees. And the next day there was 8 inches of snow on the so like it's hard to plan for weather, like what to wear, but a lot of the stuff you're doing is going to be inside, so whatever you're going to wear, something comfortable, but also check the weather before you come. and see if you need to bring a heavy jacket and gloves.
Yeah, and with Adepticon specifically, some of the events may run into midnight or later.
Yeah.
And halls that are toasty during the day because there's 150 people in a room, during the evening will actually start getting cold, and you'll start freezing in there. I've had times where I've bundled up, like I've been in shorts in the morning, and then in the evening I'm wearing a hoodie, just because it gets so cold during some of those. So I hate this, like Jamie was saying, I hate to say it, but plan for all weather.
Yeah.
Yep. I will go ahead, Jamie.
I was gonna say, along that lines, a lot of people partake at Adepticon of the alcoholic variety. Alcohol is no, I know. There's obviously stories of people that overindulge while they're at the con. So
hey, y'all, want to see a dead body?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Hey, look, there's a guy dressed up like a space marine that is now eating a cactus in the hallway. For sure, I'm not kidding, by the way. Anyways, yeah. So, make sure if you are drinking, kind of along what John started off with the water, hydrate. So, like, don't just pound alcohol without getting some actual liquids in you.
I'm gonna follow
Gatorade screwdrivers, and
I was gonna say Gatorade, or if you want to bring some heavier artillery,
Pedialyte.
I am now at the age that I will swear by Pedialyte. I had a buddy who did not understand it. I brought some to his bachelor party, threw it in the fridge, and he was like, all right, old man. Sure enough, the next morning, he's like waking up and having a rough time with it, and I poured him a glass. He had the glass of Pedialyte, and he was like, yeah, all right, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, like, people make fun of you when you're a parent because you've got Pedialyte because, kids get sick, and that's not what you give them. But, like, then when you start drinking the Pedialyte, the kids are like, hey, that's mine. But, yeah. So that, stay, the same thing with the shoes. That's a big deal, too. Like, as we've already said, because, like, a lot of the con, you're either on concrete, like reinforced concrete pad, or, like, same thing with minimal carpet, so there's like no cushioning on your knees and ankles, and like you don't realize it, but like just standing there on that all day long is just, it wrecks your ankles and knees and your.
There was a competitive 40K player who would always bring shop tiles to the event that he would play in. I'm not going to go that far, but I will be bringing, like I said, my own folding chair. I bought some really fancy folding chairs that support my weight, as a little cup holder. That's the other thing, make sure that if you're going to use something like, I always also recommend the little roller cart that's on Amazon. Everyone's got one. If you think that you're bringing something that everyone may have, mark it in some way so that it doesn't walk off.
Yeah, templates, and especially for us and Heresy, ballistic die, you either forget them or they walk off. So have extra. And, like, don't be that guy that's like, well, I can't start my game because I don't have the templates or ballistic die to, like...
And bring a second set. If your army depends on those things, scatter die, templates, tape measure, please bring a second set. Not only, because we talked about you can be a good sportsman and support your opponent if they forgot their stuff, but also just for the sake of your own gameplay.
And go back to our kind of con planning episode before, what I call the ocean box. Every paint that's touched your army, extra glues. I cannot count the number of times someone will yell, anybody got glue, or something like that at a con, just because something will break or something will come loose. CA glue, sinyl acrylate, is the glue that we use 99% of the time. Is not a great bond, will constantly break. The other thing is, if you're not used to gluing, like Jimmy was saying, it's not very humid there, so your glue will take a lot longer to dry. So I would recommend bringing a zip kicker if you're not.
So yeah, I was going to say, like a small little toolbox, have the paints that you need to touch up, stuff for pinning, like a small pinning kit, and a Dremel, or what do you call it? Not a Dremel tool, pen vise. Some clippers. And your glues and accelerant, because as I say, it's so dry there, it's just not gonna. It takes forever to dry out. And a file would also be good too.
Yep.
So just bring yourself a pocket jack.
A pocket jack.
So what I do is I put all that stuff in my bag. It's in my army bag. Glue, accelerant, ibuprofen, because I'm a man of a certain age without a gallbladder anymore, anti-diarrhea, heartburn pills, the whole entire kit and caboodle is in my bag. Emergencies in my bag upstairs. I have a little cart. I have a hoodie that goes down with me even if I don't need it. I have a phone charger just in case my phone gets overused.
Let me do one quick thing, Jack. I just thought of something. Like Jamie was saying, Chicago can insanely change weather really quickly. And one year we were leaving and it blizzarded. We just made it out, and 4 of our friends ended up getting stuck. If you have a daily medication that you take daily, bring 3 extra days just in case. You could get snowed in at this.
Yep. Bring an extra change of clothes. Like bring 1 more day of clothes than what you think, just on the basis that if something gets spilled, if you have a unfortunate trip, spill, something breaks, you have something else to wear still. And I'll even say, when we talk like dress for every occasion or for every type of weather, I run extremely hot. Like I could work in a meat locker and I could probably never be more comfortable in my entire life. So I found out very early that unless I'm bringing like a shirt that's themed to my army, the biggest favor I can do for myself and others is to like I wear a lot of like your wicking, like your Under Armour type stuff. And same story. If you run cold all the time, I doubt that I have ever experienced a truly cold event hall. But sometimes you end up in a great big con where Heresy is going to be 30 dudes crammed into one like hotel ballroom. And they're going to be blasting the AC basically as hard as they can blast it in there. And there's a chance that you will end up cold. Bring a jacket, bring a second layer that you can throw on over the top if you think that you are a cold-blooded creature and that you're going to run the risk of being cold.
Yeah, you could always just end up under the AC vent itself. And so the whole room could be hot. And you could sweat walking to the bathroom. The second you're back at your table, it's ice cold.
I'll speak to that. Ignoring the ice cold part, if you are in the gaming hall and you have your bag and you have all your stuff with you, please make certain to include in that bag an extra stick of deodorant. Because if you are sweating like a pig and you are shaped anywhere close to what I may be shaped as, you're going to sweat and that deodorant's going to wear off. Yeah. Get extra deodorant, because even if you took a shower that morning and your deodorant has worn off and you're sitting there sweating like a pig, you're going to stink.
You also please, sweat a lot when you drink.
Yeah, and Lord knows there will be a lot of drinking.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're a male, I also recommend Monty turned me onto this. It's called Sweaty Balls. It's available on Amazon.
Fresh Balls is what I've heard of, but
balls. Yeah. That stuff is so amazing for downstairs.
It's anti-chafe for like the guys.
It's like a talcum powder in a paste.
So along the kind of the same lines,
your miss may have it. It could be called Chub Rub. It doesn't matter the name of it. It's great.
Boutros butt paste? What? No. Along the same lines, personal hygiene is not a suggestion. It's like just need to do it. So like take a shower, and actually wash.
Take a shower, brush your teeth.
Yeah.
At my events, you will lose campaign points. We have to warn you.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to with people of our age, but apparently we do.
Now I'm gonna say this. You're sitting there. You've been going hard at it since 7 a.m. You're in a different time zone. You stopped. You've taken a shower in the morning. You've put deodorant on. It's game 2. You've put deodorant on. You've gotten 7 or 8 beers in you, a couple of shots of bourbon, and you're going into game 3. Yeah, you might be a little ripe. Put more deodorant on. Even if you think you don't need to, put it on. Just be courteous, because there's going to be other sweaty fat dudes in there like me, and we will all appreciate not smelling your.
Especially if you're trying to hug your bros, they know.
Yeah.
They know.
So
do make a point. If you think you're gonna run the risk of getting con crud, and even if you don't, either bring hand sanitizer and or bring baby wipes. A lot of times, if you are snacking, if you're chowing down, if you're trying to get lunch, some of these places are going to be just napkins. And sometimes I notice this at like Music City Heresy. You go out and get barbecue, and if you go through your one complimentary wet wipe they give you at the barbecue joint, you are going to be a mess. You will want something more to clean up with than just your pants. And a lot of times, these venues, because many of these cons and events tend to be male dominated, you will experience something you may never have experienced before, which is a line for the guys' room. Plan accordingly in more ways than one.
So, kind of along those lines, I would recommend, and this is just me, having a backpack. Just like not you bringing extra stuff in the backpack, but for you to have when you're actually at the convention, so that like you can have your extra hand sanitizer and your hand wipes or wet wipes if you need them, and your deodorant. But also, so like if you end up buying anything at the trade area, you don't have to carry around a bunch of bags. You just stuff it in your backpack. Also, by chance, you may be toting around a handle of Jim Beam and a 2 liter of Coke. Stick it in your backpack.
Or a cooler.
That kind of stuff. It like and same thing. Like I know I'm gravitationally challenged, as several of us are on the show. If you're flying, you may want to consider getting a seatbelt extender for the plane, which they cost all of like $15 on like Amazon. So that's just something kind of to throw in there.
Day of, so as we've talked about some of this, the idea that you might have a few drinks, beers or cocktails, what have you, know your limits, and or try to have other people there who can responsibly check you on your limits. It's okay to cut a little loose and to make a bad decision, but don't chase bad decisions with bad decisions, not just with your consumption, but also with like how late you're up, how early you get up. If you're the kind to get... Go ahead, John.
Know how your medication interacts.
Yup.
I want to build off all of this. Illinois is now a legal state for cannabis.
Cannibals and recreational.
Yes. If it's not legal in your home state and you want to try it, that's fine. Make sure you do it responsibly.
Do not look at the guy who is dressed like Shaggy, who is pounding gummy bears like they are grapes, and just be like, oh yeah, I can keep pace with that dude. That's how you end up with the, hey y'all, wanna see a dead body type story.
Generally the Heresy group is we're pretty good, and you usually will not end up with Sharpie markers all over your face like you would in college if you passed out. And we will do breath checks to check and see if you're actually breathing and have a pulse, which that has happened a couple of times when we found people in the corner of the room. But yeah, just take it easy. I mean, I know everybody's cutting loose and stuff, but...
And don't be afraid to lean on your bros. I mean, this is an event where everyone's together. If you need help or you need a designated driver to go from the hotel to a bar, let someone know. Do not
do it yourself.
Making this a terrible time for yourself or a memory for you.
I'll keep up with that one as well. Bring your ID with you, and I don't just mean your con badge. A lot of people may leave their wallets back in the hotel room because they don't want it getting walked away with. Bring your ID with you. You never know if someone's going to walk up to your table and be like, hey, I'm with whoever. Is everyone here who's got alcohol over 21? Some people may not be. Some people may be.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, one of the other things along those lines is make sure that if you are the type of person that likes to be armed in certain situations, make sure you understand the laws of the area you're going to. Specifically in Chicago, there's not a lot of carrying that can be done. As far as firearms go, make sure if you
legally,
you're the type of guy that always has a pocket knife, make sure that that's legal in this area. I'm just, I'm not giving any legal advice at all, but I'm saying
I will suggest on the subject of keep your ID on you, get in the habit of having a quote unquote con wallet. I have a separate one. I have one that is not the wear it 40 hours a week, to the day job wallet. It is like plastic or plastic adjacent. It's like a waxed paper type material, so that it's basically indestructible. I can wear on it. I can more easily slide it into different pants pockets. Do not wear your wallet in your back pocket. At some level, that's kind of a suggestion anyway, especially if you keep your wallet pretty chunky. That's a way to help avoid back problems, but keep your wallet slim. Keep the maximum amount of cash that you are willing to lose at any given time, and your ID and one card, and that should be enough to get you through your day-to-day business, such that even if the worst happens and someone picks that off you somehow, which hopefully it does not happen, hopefully you can have either in a buddy's bag or back in your hotel room a fallback set of things that you can use to finish getting you through the rest of the show.
Yeah, we're obviously, this sounds like we're trying to plan for crossing the Sahara, but I mean, we've all had failures or some issue that comes up. We're just trying to impart as much knowledge as if you plan, just like you're going to a local, realize the fact that you can't just walk back to the vehicle and drive home to get whatever you're missing. In some instances, it's a costly flight, or in my instance, 16-hour drive to go back and get the thing you missed.
Yep.
So just plan on, basically like you're going to live somewhere else for a week, because it's basically.
Having been to gaming conventions a lot, one thing I will say is that if you are going to the trade shows, don't get your hopes upset. Don't get set on, like if they're releasing something at that convention that you're going to be able to get it. Usually when they do that, they only bring what would be called like a splash release of a couple of those items, and they sell out very, very quickly. That being said, also at the conventions, I know if you pay for stuff with cash over, say, a debit card or a credit card, some of the vendors will cut you a break, because then they don't get charged transactions on those as well.
And
so that's
when you're talking about cards, make sure that if you have a daily use credit card that you like to use a lot because of points, make sure that credit card company knows you're going to a convention, because every one of the vendors will technically be from a different location as far as the transaction occurred. So you could walk 5 feet and go from New York to New Mexico,
or Memphis, or whoever their interchange is.
Yep, and so you're going to end up having impossible travel every second. And so if your credit card company knows that ahead of time, they can make sure that they don't flag the transactions, and you get through a lot quicker.
If you have
safety, but that's up to you if you want to bridge that.
If you have a phone that is older, because everyone has their phone on them all the time. If you have a phone that is older and it is prone to going dead during half the day without even really being used, carry a spare battery backup or something to that effect, just so your loved one who is going to reach out to you and contact you, or your friend who's going to do the same, or you who needs to call an Uber or call your buddies because they left you back at the bar or the restaurant, so that you're not stuck without their phone number and without a way to get hold of them, because that can and will happen, and you don't want to end up screwed.
I always carry one of those, but I'd also recommend, if you're going to this event, make sure, like Jamie was saying with the credit cards, I would say write down all your credit cards before going, so that way if they walk off, you can cancel.
Yeah.
Or something else happens.
If your bank has an app, put it on your phone.
Yeah.
You will probably run out of not just run out of battery, but have a bad signal in a couple locations. Also, turn off your Wi-Fi before you go in there. You will not be able to connect to the convention Wi-Fi, and the only people having open Wi-Fi will be people trying to scam and collect all your information. So, coming from an IT professional, turn your Wi-Fi off.
Yep, certainly very wise. And obviously we've danced around some of this in and amongst our conversation so far. Please be at least reasonably mindful of ideas like self-care. You will be kind of redlining it for the week, most likely, because if you're like many of us, this is some of your holiday, your vacation. You want to get as much out of it as possible. But if you know you're the kind of human being who doesn't function well on, let's say, less than 8 hours of sleep, maybe for the sake of you and your opponents at a given convention, politely get enough rest. know who you're rooming with if you're rooming with people, and make sure that you will actually be able to get adequate sleep with them. If you are not the kind who can sleep through the rapture, consider investing in earplugs.
That's what I was going to say. If you're sharing a room, like a lot of us have to do at Adepticon,
and your roommate's snoring like a chainsaw, not calling anybody out. Hey, Duncan.
Yeah, Jack does snore like a chainsaw. He is right. He is honest about it.
I snore like a drunk grizzly bear. But
I've got Godzilla on my side.
I don't.
I'm going to say, as I'm trying to say, like if you know that you snore, be a nice guy and grab some just like cheap earplugs and offer them to the people that you're rooming with in case they can't deal with that, because that's like one of the most miserable experiences that you can have, that if snoring keeps you up and you're having to room with somebody that's snoring, like you literally just don't sleep. So
Jack, why do you never offer me earplugs?
Because you're snoring just along with me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I know some people have CPAP machines. I don't. My wife does. So, like, whenever we have to travel, we always have to lug that around. Make sure that if you do have that you don't forget it and you have an electrical outlet to use it. Another thing is, go ahead.
I'm going to say something that may sound a little crazy, but I swear to you it's not. Because we've actually seen this happen at Adepticon. If you have a medical condition, let people who are there with you know. And carry your insurance card with you, because a number of years ago there was a guy who takes a certain medication and he had alcohol with it and he fell out and went to the emergency room. That is not an uncommon occurrence in larger conventions. Take proof that you have health insurance, otherwise you're going to sit there and be stuck with multiple thousands of dollars of a bill for no reason when you could have been like, nope, I'm good.
Along those same lines, if you do have a medical condition that you know of, make sure you have some sort of documentation on your body, just like as Duncan was saying, in case like you have some sort of issue. That's you never want that. Same thing, like if you're allergic to something, like say like you go out to dinner and you go to some place that, like, say you're allergic to shellfish, and you go to some place that has that, you let everybody know that whoever you're eating with that you are allergic to it, and like not have them touch you so you don't break out and look like a shellfish.
Yeah.
Do a little digging ahead of time and figure out where you and others, possibly in your party, would like to do lunch and dinner. Yeah. Try to figure out, hey, if we can get a rough estimate of what the schedule's going to be. Spoiler, if you haven't experienced this before, try not to make elaborate lunch plans.
No.
Unless you know that you're going to get through a round extremely quickly and you can, like, go somewhere and get the table early for everybody, which you should not plan on, but hey, who am I to tell you exactly what you shouldn't do?
He's not bad.
Don't make sit-down restaurant plans for lunch between rounds. Odds are it will not happen unless you somehow have insider information and you know a true hole in the wall that no other human being could possibly think to go to. Just don't. For the sake of event organizers, just don't.
The other thing I'd recommend, this may be your first time in Chicago or, let's say, just a big city. I would recommend not using this time to go sightseeing.
No.
Chicago or Adeptic or anything really outside the convention. There are parts of Chicago that are not safe. It is a city. Chicago itself is a terrible cesspit. Yes, I am. But make sure that you understand Schaumburg is a decent suburb. Make sure that you understand what that means. That could mean to strangers, don't get into anyone's random vans, don't take weird pills you find, etc., etc. Understand that this is a city and there could be things.
Another thing I'd like to bring up, and if you don't feel safe doing something or around somebody, don't go.
Yep. Yeah. Boost out. Always trust your gut. And, if you are trying to tag along with someone, if you can, try to stay in a group if you're going to go out into this.
Or go out to dinner or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever we go out to dinner, I make sure that everyone stays together. If you've got a battle buddy, everyone sticks together as well.
I will recommend, like, just knowing, like, the time frame in between games. If you're trying to get lunch or something like that. Con food and con drinks are, especially at Acon, are not cheap. So
and make sure you're not just eating. So the
crap.
The best food for money is at the convention is tenders. So make sure you're not just eating tendies all the time. I mean, that's not just terrible for your waistline, but it's also pretty terrible for your. Think about eating healthy. Throw some greens in there.
So I don't have a part of my lower intestine because I had to have it surgically removed in 2018 because I tried to die very, very badly. And because of that, I take fiber powder every day in food and drink and beverages. If you have gut issues, which Lord knows at this age and in our society is not uncommon, take your stuff with you and try to eat a balanced diet. Even if it's only going hog wild on salad or things like that during the various dinners. When you get out and your gaming day and shopping day is done and you're going out with friends, have some greenery. Eat like you're not, an inmate eating your last meal. Have something that's healthy to go along with the fact that you're probably abusing the crud out of your body for most of the rest of the time you're at the con.
So yeah, along the same lines, like if you get a chance, like you can go to, I know there's Target and several other places like that nearby that you can go get decent, wholesome snacks that are not gonna like kill you. Same thing, like if you needed to get, like there's Costco too, you can also get like cases of bottled water if you need it, if you didn't bring it with you, that kind of stuff. Another thing with the con crud is we kind of went over, I don't know if anybody said it, but things that have helped is you take Emergency, I think is what it's called. It's kind of helps with colds and flu beforehand.
It's a vitamin C booster you throw in your drink.
Yep, that's good. I know this sounds crazy, but at night, Vicks Vapo Rub, like or underneath on your chest and your nose will help too with it, keep you from going hoarse. And as like I think I said earlier, like cough drops are almost a must because of how dry it is in the.
Yep. Now we're obviously not telling you how you have to run your life. We're telling you. Yeah, we're not your parents. You are. Hopefully, if you are attending the con, you are a grown adult who understands your own limitations and everything else. Unless you have your children with you, in which case, I hope you understand their limitations as well.
Yeah.
You're going to find people who may exist around you who will offer you strange beverages that you have not seen before. Some of them may be named Duncan. Know that...
Or from a language that you cannot pronounce.
Yeah. People are going to be friendly who you've never met, and they're going to offer you things you may not have tried before. If you feel comfortable trying it, good for you. We're happy that.
Take the other half.
Yeah. If you have a job where you know you are going to be randomly tested for illicit substances, especially upon your return from an out-of-state vacation, maybe ask what is in the substance that you are being handed. I'm not
or bring
saying...
$20 in the bag and talk to me.
Okay.
By the way, poppy seed muffins, they do show up on a talk screen. Just throwing that out there, having been working at a hospital.
Long story short is don't go crazy. It's going to be a fun weekend. You have responsibilities to yourself and to your family. Don't end up in jail.
Correct.
And try to avoid driving drunk.
Don't subtract from the population. Don't add to the population.
Don't end up as a headline.
Don't hit a bicyclist randomly while driving your truck back from a bar.
I think that about covers all the wisdom that we have to impart. People have parting remarks.
Have fun. I know it's like we've just nannied you but it's also have fun. Like, and don't be a dick. Like, you're playing in an area with people you may or may not know and stuff like that. Be nice, be friendly, one of the worst experiences you could have is if you're playing some person that is just not pleasant to be around and you're just like, okay, I want to get this done as fast as possible.
And I have one thing to piggyback off that. Remember, we're all going to whatever convention is you're attending to play games of tiny toy soldiers. You don't have to be a tryhard. You don't have to be the guy who's sitting there doing everything he can to gut punch your opponent. If they're not having fun, you're on their vacation. And some of us don't get a lot of vacation.
There's no for winning.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the most eloquent, blunt way I've ever heard somebody frame it. much as we talked about on the last show, where if you would like to defraud someone out of an achievement, bring an eraser with you the next time you go to golf or miniature golf and defraud yourself.
And the last bit, remember, like I said, we're all here to play games. We're all hopefully adults, and we can all act like it. Don't put a Warhound on a Sky Shield landing pad
with no arms.
With no arms.
and Raven Wing and Thousand Sun Contemptors.
And quad mortars on the bottom, and not expect to be turned into a meme or a laughingstock by people who are there to have fun.
And don't forget the Void Shields, too.
Yeah, because honestly, if you do something as heinously unpleasant to your opponent as that, I promise you, the community will remember you, and it will not be in a positive way, and you may end up on a t-shirt or on trophies that are 3D printed just to commemorate your chicanery, and that's not a positive.
With all of that said, it sounds like it's time to wrap up. I've been Jacob, and I've been joined by
Duncan,
Jack,
John,
and Jamie.
And we're glad we had you with us for this episode. Remember, stay accountable to your hobby and to your buddies, and we'll see you next time.